NBC News has an article that they released about Joe Biden and the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, and this nearly gave me an aneurysm when I saw the title. So the title is, "The Health Insurance Public Option Might Be Fizzling. The Left is Okay with That." Biden left it out of his budget. The left is focused on other ideas like expanding Medicare, and the healthcare industry is dead set against it. So, the healthcare industry is dead set against any kind of reform other than just handing them colossal subsidies and padding their bottom lines. But the idea that the left is okay with abandoning any sort of real healthcare reform, that is infuriating. So let me tell you a little bit more of what they say in this. I'll show you the beginning. When President Barack Obama abandoned a public insurance option to win moderate support for the Affordable Care Act in 2009, progressives were enraged. A decade later, Joe Biden campaigned on making the public option a reality, but so far, he's done little to get Congress to enact one. Correction, he's done nothing. Instead of outrage, influential progressives seem to be okay watching the promise go unfilled, preferring to pursue universal health care through other means, like expanding Medicare eligibility. Elected officials, healthcare activists, and experts who spoke to NBC News said the issue has fallen off the national radar and will be difficult to revive without a major push by the White House. That last part there is the thing that might put me in an early grave. Again, I want to repeat it. Healthcare activists and experts who spoke to NBC News said the issue has fallen off the national radar. No, it's not even close to falling off the national radar. In fact, when you poll the American people, the number one issue on the minds of Americans, and this is in most polls I've seen that look into stuff like this, it's healthcare. The number one issue to the American people is healthcare. For understandable reasons. Healthcare bills are the number one cause of bankruptcy in this country. It's over 60% of bankruptcies have something to do with medical bills. We have about 25 million uninsured people in this country. We have anywhere from 45,000, I think there was one study that even said up to 60,000 people die every year because they don't have access to basic healthcare. We also have a pandemic. So that's obviously putting immense financial stress and pressure on regular people, and everybody wants some sort of solution to our healthcare crisis. So the idea that it's fallen off the national radar is just plain and simple, pure, rank propaganda. That's all that is. That's propaganda. That's defending Joe Biden and working backwards from that position. Now, to be fair to them, they do sort of hint at a couple parts in this article. What they mean is, no. We're talking about the left of elected representatives. We're talking about the left flank of the Democratic Party in Washington, D.C. And I have to say, on that front, yeah, healthcare kind of has dropped off their radar, but they're not representative of the American people. We sent them there to be representative of the American people, but they're not echoing the concerns of the American people. They're largely going along to get along with minor deviations from the Biden administration. So on that front, it's kind of true, and it's beyond devastating. It actually is, it speaks terribly of the institutional left. That's what I think we should call them from now on when we talk about politicians who are supposed to be the left flank. They're the institutional left. And for them, yeah, during the Democratic primary, the arguments were some were for Medicare for all, some were for watered down versions of Medicare for all, and then everybody else was like public option. Well, now that Biden's elected, he immediately abandoned the public option. So definitely not getting Medicare for all, now abandoning the public option. And the thing that Bernie and other left flank institutional lefties are supporting, they're like, okay, by the way, first Bernie said, let's lower the Medicare age to 55 or 60. When I heard that, my initial reaction was, oh, it's definitely not going to be 55. Because if you say or and then put a higher number there, of course, they're going to default to the least amount of change. And that's exactly what happened. So now they're talking about Medicare at 60. So, listen, to defend them or to play devil's advocate here, they would argue, hey, maybe this is just as good of a reform as a public option, and it's maybe something that Biden would actually do, so that's what we're going to talk about. But again, your job, if you're elected and you're on the left, is not to figure out how best to color within the lines. It's to change the entire conversation to make it so that good policies are within the lines. You have to shift that Overton window. You have to take on the fight, but they're unwilling to take on the fight. I mean, we have polls that show 70% of the American people are for universal health care, Medicare for all. And you're not going to take on that fight? And the answer is they're not, because, again, the leadership of the Democratic Party in D.C. is completely against Medicare for all, and many of them are bought by health insurance companies. So the left abandons that. Then apparently they even abandoned the public option, which is beyond embarrassing. And now here we are. So now they're fighting for Medicare at 60. Guess what? They're not going to get that either. So not only did you compromise on the compromise, this is the left flank I'm talking about now. They compromise on the compromise. They're not even going to get that. Well, if you're not going to get it, why would you not at least go down guns blazing? Why would you not at least go down making the most vociferous, aggressive case you could possibly make for Medicare for all, and then you look like the heroes in the eyes of the American people? Yes, the media is going to smear you. Yes, they're going to act like you're the problem. You can fight back against the media. You can fight back, but they don't want to do it. They don't want to fight. But this idea is driving me crazy. It goes to show you the Overton window in Washington, D.C. among elected officials is so far to the right compared to the Overton window among the American public. We're going to get to a story later. The idea of a wealth tax. More Republican voters support a wealth tax than don't. Now, you've been led to believe your entire life that's not the case at all, that Republicans never met a tax cut that they didn't like. Turns out that's not true. When you talk about taxing the rich, more of them support it than oppose it. So you have the Democratic voters overwhelmingly supporting a wealth tax, and you have Republican voters overwhelmingly supporting a wealth tax. And guess what? Nobody's really fighting for a wealth tax. So what are we doing here? It just goes to show you that among the people, they're much more reasonable. What was the poll? 80% or something support a living wage. And you have even the left flank of the Democratic Party, the institutional left, wouldn't fight for a $15 minimum wage. They wouldn't hold up a bill for it. So what are we doing here? This is embarrassing, is what I'm trying to tell you guys. It's embarrassing. The left is okay with abandoning the public option. Not only am I not okay with them abandoning the public option, I'm not okay with them abandoning Medicare for all. And 70% of the country agrees with me on Medicare for all. And I want to hear these arguments being made, not just from shitty YouTubers like myself. I want to hear elected representatives go out there and make the points I just made before, that up to 60,000 people die in this country because they don't have access to basic health care. That's not something you can just overlook. 25 million uninsured is not something you can just overlook. Over 60% of bankruptcies having something to do with medical bills is not something you could just overlook. It's also, by the way, even if you have insurance, some freakishly high percentage, I think David Schroeder reported on this, it might be like 30% or so of claims are rejected. So you have insurance, you pay your premiums, you pay your deductibles, you pay your copays or whatever, and then when something happens, you submit for them to cover it, and the insurance company goes, no, we don't cover that. And you have even the people who are supposed to be representing you in D.C. don't represent you on this. They don't fight for your position. They don't even fight for the watered down position of the thing. They've compromised on the compromise like twice, and now they're just begging for Medicare at 60, and they're not going to get that either. How toothless and pathetic do you have to be? And this is what happens when you basically say, as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said, is like, oh, he's doing much better than anybody ever thought he would do. He's exceeded expectations. Why? Because he got one COVID relief bill through that was a one shot of adrenaline and didn't have anything recurring in it? That's why he's exceeded expectations? Because he reversed some of Trump's executive orders on the first 2 days? That's exceeding expectations? Now he can't get anything through regular order. They've given up on reconciliation. He can't even keep Manchin and Sinema in line. How the fuck can you say that? They're going along with the party. They're doing the opposite of what they were sent there to do. They were sent there to be a tea party of the left, to fight for the people, to crusade for the right policies, and they're not doing it. And now you get articles like this, which drive me crazy, which completely misstate the reality of the situation. The idea that, see, that's the thing. There's a difference here. When they talk about the left is okay with it, it seems like they mean the institutional left. And on that front, they're kind of right. But I hate this article because there's not even a mention of the American people. Because the American people have not come close to giving up either on Medicare for all or a public option or some sort of healthcare reform to improve the system when it's the number one issue in most Americans' minds. So don't write an article like this. It gives the misimpression that all of politics is just in D.C. and the will of the people in what's supposed to be a constitutional republic and representative democracy is irrelevant. It's not even in the conversation. Again, I'm going to read you that headline one more time, and your blood can boil as I do it. The health insurance public option might be fizzling. The left is okay with that. The fuck we are, bitch! The fuck we are. Not only am I not okay with that, I'm not okay with abandoning of Medicare for all. In the middle of a pandemic and what was effectively a depression, they wouldn't fight for universal health care. We're the only developed country that doesn't have it. Every other developed country has universal health care. And they wouldn't fight for it. It was a once-in-a-lifetime tragedy, disaster, but it was also a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to say every point we've made about universal health care is being proven through and through right now with this. And you could even make the point, hey, we had a trial run in socialized medicine with the free vaccine. How'd that work out? It worked out phenomenally well. But nobody made any of these arguments because everybody's out to lunch. The institutional left in D.C. is a joke. They're a joke. They're useless, completely toothless, pathetic, no backbone, no fight, weak beyond weak. And here we are. The media runs cover for Biden as they're weak. And they write stuff like, the health insurance public option might be fizzling. The left is okay with that. The only thing they've done for healthcare, and you know this, is they've subsidized the private health insurance companies more. Expanded COBRA and done some other stuff. By the way, they're subsidizing them to the tune of billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars. And then you go look, if you have the experience of maybe being able to enroll in COBRA, which basically means you left your job or you were laid off from your job or whatever. COBRA is this program that allows you to stay on that health insurance, but you have to pay for it. And the premiums are fucking preposterous. They're ridiculous. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And they act like this is some sort of deal. You just throw tens of billions of dollars in subsidies at the health insurance companies for this, then they turn around and charge people an arm and a leg anyway? Because it's a giant scam. It's a scam on top of a scam within a scam. The for-profit health insurance companies are parasites. They're leeches. They're a mafia, a middleman mafia. They're rapacious, and they get in between you and your doctor and tell you what you can and can't do and who you can and can't see. That's their whole point. And the left, apparently, the institutional left is like, well, I would have originally liked Medicare for all, but we can't get Medicare for all. But then I would like public option, and Joe Biden campaigned on public option, but he's abandoning public option, and I'm okay with that. Maybe we lower Medicare age to 60. Okay, you don't want to do that? Okay. If the media did their job, there'd be 1,000 articles calling out Joe Biden for the lie of abandoning the public option. He lied. He said he was going to do the public option in the middle of a pandemic. He didn't do it. He abandoned it completely on day one. Abandoned it. And none of the articles are like, this guy's a fucking liar. That's a brazen lie. That's a complete lie. We all know if Trump ran on some shit then abandoned it, the media would put a zillion articles. Oh my God, look at this liar. They counted his lies, for Christ's sake, when he was in office, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. It was tens of thousands of lies Trump told. And he is a liar. Don't get it twisted. But there is a double standard. The media on the one hand would call out the lie. The media on the other hand is going to cover up for Biden. The left is okay with that. Biden lied, but now lying's okay because we're saying it's okay. And not only is it okay with people who like Biden, it's also okay with the left. You want to talk to any actual lefties? Have you spoken to anybody who was part of the Force the Vote movement? Anybody? Mainstream media? Anybody? How many articles were written about that? How many articles? Just totally ignored. Just completely ignored. So the Overton window in D.C. and the Overton window in corporate media is so far to the right on the spectrum and so pro-corporatist that it's not even close to representing any semblance of real opinion out there in the country. The left is okay with that. I can't, man. I can't. When you guys have to come to a shitty loudmouth YouTuber like myself in order to get conversations about this, that's not okay. That means the system is broken. That means the media has failed you. That means the institutional left has failed you. But this is where we are. And it's heartbreaking to see. So he'll never be held accountable. If he told a brazen lie like he was going to do the public option, then he immediately abandoned it, and these are the headlines from mainstream media, the public option might be fizzling, but the left is okay with that. So when Biden lies, not only is it okay, it's even okay among people who are supposed to nominally disagree with him from his left. They are controlling the narrative. That's what's happening.